David, Mike, Chris, and Carrie would die. A tragic tale of a once dominant wrestling dynasty, the famous Von Erichs, whose name lives on in Ross and Marshall, Kevin Von Erich's sons. Perhaps they will continue the legacy of their uncles and grandfather, to allow us to remember how they lived and not in remembering the tragic circumstances that took away their lives. And perhaps one of the more just heartbreaking episodes of Dark Side of the Ring. This one entitled The Last of the Von Erichs. And indeed, when it comes to this generation, talking about Kevin Von Erich, Carrie, Chris, David, Mike. In fact, they even lost a brother who was 6 years old, who was electrocuted in a very, very just peculiar way. It was a way that, how could that have happened, It was very tragic. And Kevin Von Erich is seen here often emotional, sometimes not even realizing that talking about one of his brothers was going to make him want to step away for about 10 minutes, take a break. Truly sad, like I said, heartbreaking. And it's something that I remember when I used to watch World Class Championship Wrestling. And I only was able to watch Kevin and Carrie. I only seen them. Didn't know about Mike or David. They had passed earlier. And I only watched, I watched it maybe for about a year, maybe not even that. But what I saw was really great. I loved that promotion. It was probably one of the most, it was Texas based. You had a lot of local talent, a lot of guys from that area. And the Von Erichs were heroes in Texas. They were adored. When David died and when Mike died, they would, shut down the city. I mean, or they would have a statewide remembrance. They would close certain businesses out of respect. And it must have been hard for their patriarch, Fritz Von Erich. He loses David and he loses Mike, he loses Chris, he loses Carrie, and he's, shouting at the sky and asking God why. There's even a part where Carrie stole a gun. He was in a gun shop and he got a gun and he put it in his pants and he was stiff legged walking out there. And then one of the guys in there, I'm trying to remember if he was the gun owner or if he was just one of the guys in there, looks at him and says, "I love you." And that really resonated with Kevin. And he was like, at that point, he said to himself, that's all he needed to hear. Kind of a reassurance that all was okay. And then he had people, out of just not a very usual place where you'd probably hear that, And someone said that, and that's all he needed to hear. He turns around and he returns the gun, shakes their hands, he got a big hug from the guy that said it. And sometimes that's all you need. And to this day, Kevin Von Erich lives on, and also his sons, Ross and Marshall, are carrying on the tradition. I've not watched them yet, but I've heard a lot about them, that they are still very much like their father. Matter of fact, one of them even wrestles barefoot. Imagine that, just totally just like his father. I remember Lacey Von Erich when I used to watch TNA. I remember seeing her and I'm like going, wow, look at this beautiful girl. Wow, she's really, really just, gorgeous and very tall, very physical in the ring, and she really was pretty good. She was decent. And you find out that her last name was Von Erich. I'm thinking, is she related to these guys? She's just carrying their name, or just having their name. You find out that she's the daughter of Kerry Von Erich, who's known as the Texas Tornado, in WWE. He was a former Intercontinental Champion, very popular. And she was, her daughter, his daughter, and he had another daughter as well. And of course, she being the granddaughter of Fritz von Erich. Their last name is Atkinson, but they adopted the last name. The father was actually a heel, and he wanted to be the biggest heel that he can. So what did he do? He decides to be like a former Hitler, like a Hitler type of a heel from Berlin, Germany. And the fact that he comes from Texas, and it's something like that. So it's kind of like totally such a total like, it's that word, but it's like it's not even anywhere near who he really was. But that's what wrestling is all about, right? But I remember, when I seen him there in World Class Championship Wrestling, and then I saw Kerry Von Erich in the WWE, WWF back then, and he was known as a Texas Tornado. According to this episode, they dropped his Von Erich name. He wasn't even acknowledged as Kerry Von Erich. I mean, they did, I think, in the beginning, and then they kind of went away from that and just called him the Texas Tornado. I think I remember them saying that was the Texas Tornado Kerry Von Erich, and then I think I do remember now that he did just say the Texas Tornado. That whole discus punch that was his his finisher, his move, that signature move of his. And I really was immediately just drawn to him, and I thought that this guy's cool. This guy is built. He's strong. He's powerful, but he's also very charismatic. And the one thing that nobody knew, he wrestled, and the whole time during that time he had a club foot. He lost his foot. He had to amputate it due to a car accident that he had. And he goes there, and he stayed there maybe a few years, and then unfortunately committed suicide. David and Mike and Chris. Chris also succumbed to his I don't know, you call them demons, or his inability to be like his brothers because he was very small, and he ended up shooting himself. And it's just like, just thinking about it, it's really just one of the most tragic stories in pro wrestling. How all these guys, 5 brothers, pass away. I said David, Chris, Mike, and Kerry. And of course, you got to remember Jack. But Jack was 6 years old. He didn't even wrestle, of course, because he was only 6. And then Kerry is the one that, Kevin is the one that lives on. And you see his heart, his hurt, and how he was going through a lot of just emotions as he was doing this episode. And I'm like going, good on him, that he was able to get through it, And I totally remember, like, back in the day when I watched these guys wrestle, Kevin and Kerry, and they're just so amazing, so talented. They said that David was was it David? Because I'm kind of mixing them up, but Kerry was the what do you call it? The movie star looks, the physique and everything, and then Kevin was the athlete, and then David, or let's say Mike or David. David, was the technician, the guy who was really just well-rounded as a wrestler. But he died in a Tokyo hotel from enteritis, and they said it was really brutal. It was like a very not a way that you want to die. His intestines just burst, and his whole body was just filled up with blood, and he died of a heart. Yeah, the way Mike took his life, Mike, Chris, and Carrie, committed suicide. Mike took an overdose of Placidil, and he was near a lake, and he was only 23. Chris shot himself in the head with a 9mm handgun in 1991, and he was age 21. And Carrie was only 33, and he shot himself in the chest, family yard in 1993, like I said. And yeah, Kevin Von Erich is the last surviving son. And many people were saying that it's a curse. And Kevin's like, there's no curse. It was just really just tragic circumstances. And when I listened to it and I'm listening to watching the whole thing, I'm going, yeah, it wasn't no curse. People like to label stuff like that a curse, but how is it a curse, It's situations, it's like, because when David had died, it brought out a lot of emotions in these guys, and it really made these guys, totally just lost without their brother, and the pressures of their, wrestling stardom and their name and everything, it builds up, and these guys that took their lives, they just couldn't take it. There were just so many things that were going on, and it just happened. It just happened to be one of those things, and everybody can say what they want about it being a curse. I mean, they say the same thing about Bruce and Brandon Lee. They talk about, the poltergeists, all these people dying from that movie, and they're saying that was because of they filmed the movie on an Indian burial place, and I'm like, going, it's easy to say that because people want a reason why. Why is all this tragedy happening in one family or one, circumstance, that happens. It's truly tragic all around. But the Von Erich family, man, they got hope that their name continues on. I mean, even though people do remember them fondly, and they definitely know that they are going to live on because of what they left behind. But in the world of professional wrestling, there's a lot of people now in this generation that don't know who they are. So in comes Marshall and Ross, the sons of Kerry Von Erich. Right now they are in Major League Wrestling. That's where they're signed to, and they, I don't know if they are the current, but I heard that. But I do remember hearing that they're the tag team champions of MLW. So they're keeping their name. They still have their name. They bear the Von Erich name. They're not going by Atkinson. So they're continuing that on. And then they also have kids themselves. So Kevin Von Erich is the grandfather. So you can see probably that his grandkids are going to also carry on the tradition of the family. And doesn't look like the so-called curse is going to get them because they are doing their thing. There's probably not a lot of pressure to uphold the name. Fritz Von Erich probably put a lot of pressure on his sons, but that's just all he knew. All he knew was wrestling. That's all his kids knew was wrestling. But yeah, was really a great episode, but very, very heartbreaking. It just gets you in the gut, hits you in the gut, and puts a lump in your throat. It's very, very it was tragic, and it's a thing that I always remember. I always remember when watching World Class Championship Wrestling and discovering the Von Erichs and knowing the history and realizing that all of these, incredibly talented young men, tragically lost their lives. Who knows if it was because of the pressure of wrestling? It was because of demons maybe that they each were struggling to deal with, but it'll be good just to remember them for how they lived and how they performed in the ring and how they really just brought a lot of hope to a lot of people, and that heroes do exist, when it came to the Von Erichs. And I enjoyed this episode, and I'm going to continue to watch this series. It really is a great series. And for those of you who stopped by and checked out my video, go check it out. Go on YouTube. If you go to the Viceland YouTube page or YouTube channel, It only costs $2.99 for HD and SD. Standard definition is $1.99, and I bought it for the standard definition, and I watched the episode, and I intend on doing that every week, as I've been doing every week. I've been reviewing each episode, and I'll continue to do that. There's another season, of course, as well, so I'll be getting into it, and I am very, very pleased with this series, and well done by Vice. And I don't watch them much, but when it comes to something like this, especially something that hits home with me, that is pro wrestling, I love pro wrestling. So I definitely gonna check it out every time they have some kind of a great series like this. But that's my video, and want to just say I appreciate you all stopping by. For those of you who checked out my channel and in the video. And in closing, as always, take care. Please remember to subscribe, click like, and click the bell icon for all notifications on this channel.